All right, this next story is from the world of technology, but it affects us more than we would want it to. Did you know that the constant alerts that you get on your phones might be leading to a privacy nightmare? The notifications you receive from tech platforms have been helping governments keep an eye on what you've been doing on your apps. There are big privacy concerns for Google and Apple users, as governments might have been spying on them through notifications. According to US Senator Ron Wyden, both foreign and US government agencies have been asking Apple and Google for data related to notifications to keep tabs on smartphone users. The government can use the information for tasks like tracking anonymous users of messaging apps to specific Apple or Google accounts. So how do the companies get your data just through notifications? Let's take a look at that next. The alerts that you get on your phone, such as a text message, or it could be a message from a friend, or a notification telling you your favorite football team which just won a game. These are the kind of random notifications that one gets. Well, these go through Google and Apple's servers. This gives these companies a special view of app-related information, and that in turn helps governments watch how people have been using specific apps. Apple responded to the update saying that the federal government prohibited us from sharing any information. Now that this method has become public, we are updating our transparency reporting to detail these kinds of requests. That's a quote-unquote from the Apple house. Apple added that they'll share more details about how governments have checked push notifications now that Senator Wyden has made the information public. Senator Wyden has also asked the US Department of Justice to change any rules limiting talk about this kind of spying on users. All right, to further understand this, we are now being joined by Adrian Maass. He's a tech journalist and broadcaster. Welcome on board, Adrian.
Hi, good to be here.
It's always a pleasure to speak with you. I wanted to just pick your brain on this one. Can you explain to us, or just walk our viewers through just how governments are snooping on users through these push notifications? We gave a glimpse of that in the report. Would like to hear from you.
Yeah, well, it's very sparse on details. This is the info we're getting from Whistleblower. But and even the app developers really don't know exactly how this data is being used. We can infer what's going on and the sort of information you can get from it. We'd expect that it will include that's at least the sort of information useful to government, who's talking to who. So instant messaging apps will often pop up. Some of them are end-to-end encrypted. What we don't know is whether the notifications are end-to-end encrypted as well. So the data flowing through those servers may be a way round the encryption, or it may not be. It'll vary from app to app. And it tells you what apps they're using, of course, which allows surveillance organisations like the NSA, the National Security Agency in the States, to then have more targeted collection of data. So as well as who they're talking to, what they're using, and just the day-to-day little things like, you know, your parking has expired. That tells you where somebody is. You know, that our world goes through the phone. So it's a colossal amount of information on top of the already colossal amount of information that our phones give away anyway, through emails and shared address books and the pictures uploaded to the cloud and the constant supply of location data and all the other bits and pieces. But even when people switch that off, they probably forget about the notifications.
Mr. Maass, I just want to take your opinion on this one. Now, they've specifically mentioned Google and Apple users. Now, if you look at the smartphone market in particular, that's pretty much the entire market out there, as of today at least. So, is there any way of evading this? If the government has an access to their servers and all the notifications are also registered on their servers, then is there any way out of it?
There are some open source versions of Android which de-Googlify your phone. It's a slightly sort of techie process to install them, and it's a very limited range of phones. You can put them on Google Pixel phones, and it's quite a good way to keep a Google Pixel phone that no longer receives security updates going beyond what would otherwise be the end of its life. So there are ways to do it, but in terms of you can switch notifications off on your phone for every app, both on Apple and Google ones. That doesn't switch off all the other supply of information. So you can lock down all sorts of things. You can not share your location. But of course, it's still telling the mobile phone network which mast you're using, which gives a pretty good steer to where you are anyway. So you can lock down lots of privacy features on your phone. But in reality, it'll only reduce the flow of information. It certainly won't stop it, because your phone is connected to the outside world if you use it as a phone.
Mr. Mas, just a quick one last question. I want to get your opinion on this. Now, for a layperson who's using an Apple device or a Google device, is there anything that you'd recommend to change in your settings, apart from switching off your notifications? Anything else that one can do to just kind of ensure a better guard on one's privacy?
Well, I certainly wouldn't share my address book with social media companies and other companies. There's a lot of people who want to get it. I would consider using third-party browsers like Firefox, which have better privacy guards and block cookies and privacy tracking technology. That will more protect you from people trying to throw sort of customized advertising at you and build up quite detailed profiles about you, less from government. You can, there's lots of privacy settings you can dig down into to do, but it's really quite limited. The more things you do with your phone, the more you're sharing, and almost none of this will protect you from government. The best bet is to look at end-to-end encrypted tools like Signal, rather than using text messages, which have quite a good level of encryption.
So one can only hope to get, do not share your personal address, at least to begin with social media websites. And of course, you also mentioned you can switch off your notifications. But there again, it is limited when it's the government which has an eye on these servers. It is.
Whatever you do, governments use what they call zero-day vulnerabilities. In other words, known flaws in devices that haven't gone public, and they keep them very secret, and they basically allow them to take over a phone completely. So however much information, if the information is in the phone, and if a nation state wants to get inside your phone, it doesn't matter whether you've got any, there's little you can do. Exactly.
All right, we're right out of time as of now, Adrian. So thank you so much for joining us and sharing all your insights on this. That was Adrian Mas joining us on World DNA.